Hello. So last time I was specifying and choosing who was going to make this sort of agile mobile project manager tool, and then I'm starting to shape the actual product a bit now, and I'm going to jump straight in. I've got roughly 10 main areas I'm thinking about, a lot of them interlinked, but behavior driven development, user stories, release planning, lean UX, estimation, continuous integration, automatic testing, tracking, backlog grooming, and lean marketing. I think all in all, that'll give a good overview of what I feel the best proponents in Agile are at the minute. So let's jump straight into behavior driven development, the first one. And so in terms of what Agile practice I do, probably more than say I'm doing Scrum, Scrumban or Kanban. At the moment I'd probably say I'm doing BDD, Behavior Driven Development. You can execute BDD in Scrum or Scrumban or Kanban, I guess, because BDD is slightly different from those actual rigors and processes. I'll just explain it with these graphs or diagrams. My nemesis, Microsoft Paint. Probably get the old Steve Ballmer video up if I'm clever enough. No, it's not going to happen. Not right now. Right, so I'm just going to show you. I was going to show you. I will still show you. I'm messing around with the windows now. I didn't think I'd be doing. Okay. Roughly there now. So yeah, what do we start off with? Well, it's outside in, and I'll just show you the layers. That's what I'm going to talk through. So behavior driven development, also known as outside in development or test driven development. This behavior driven development and test driven development, BDD and TDD, effectively the same thing. It's just one of the thought leaders, Dan North, decided to give that extra focus back to the user-centered design, to call it behavior-driven development. So the first outer shell and the first interaction point here is with the users. You see what their behaviors are, and you code the product towards that straight away. So you do your stakeholder interviews or your user testing or your audience research and audience insights work, and then the people interacting with that layer mainly will be the business or product owners, and they come up with hone those into user stories, which I'll talk about more in another video. But your typical user story is, well, let's give an example, which is an agile thing to do as well. So yeah, as a user, when I go onto my, this is a broken app, is the iPlayer one we did earlier. So as a user, when I go onto my iPlayer app, I want to be able to listen live. So that's a typical, you can imagine users want to do that. They just want to hit the app up and listen to whatever's on live. There might be other shows like podcasts and stuff, but they might just want to hit up live. So they take the that user story and they give it like their business acceptance criteria, which is, well, we want it to be using this sort of quality, we want it to react in this sort of time, this sort of NFRs or non-functional requirements, we want it to react to this speed, we want this many simulcasts to be able to be downloaded to all our users, no problems, etc., etc. These acceptance criteria are then taken to the next layer, which is usually working with testers or the test team. Now these come before the developers, or at least at the same time as them in the meetings. So they'll look at these user stories, and you see a lot of the big companies, like Google for example, they started off with about 200 developers and had about 2 or 3 testers at one point, and that's now transformed completely, and they've got this. They changed their test team to be called their performance team or something, but within a couple of years the numbers almost evened out. So there's like 1,000 developers and 800 in the performance team who effectively were doing tests. Because Google sort of decided that, along with other big corporations like the BBC that I work for, that there's almost like a different test mentality, and there should be this specific developer in test or automatic tester role. So these are sort of testers who can write code and create continuous integration environments or create automatic test suites. And Amazon, for example, can throw a new web page in, A/B test it with some differences and variances, and then see those results live, and they can turn those type of things over apparently in 24 hours. And one of the reasons why they can do that is they've got a big automatic test suite which enables them to just throw stuff up with relatively high confidence once they've run the test suite, that it hasn't broken the build or it's not going to affect anything fundamentally. So the testers will come up and think about these a lot and develop scenarios such as, well, yeah, you want to listen live, but what if you're on 3G? Or what if you move from Wi-Fi to a 3G area and it's a user with a sort of very expensive carrier? Do they want all that data? Should you put a bill shock in at that point? If it drops, what do you want to happen? If you've got a notification coming through, do you want a phone call to interrupt it? Do you want the noise to dim when something else happens with the phone? Do you want it to be able to work in the background so you can get on with other apps? So there's all these different scenarios that come out, and they'll write cucumbers, which we'll talk about in another video as well. And these are sort of scenarios, sort of very English language or business language type scenarios called given, when, thens. So given I'm on the iPlayer Radio homepage, when I click on listen live, then I expect to hear a 48 kilobyte simulcast stream or something like that. So these given, when, thens then you put into these automatic test harnesses such as Calabash on mobile, or Behave or JBehave or whatever it is called, BHAT. There's the whole bunch of them. We've got RSpec. It's all very clever stuff. I don't know too much about it as a project manager, but there's plenty of other videos. I'll put maybe some links in about more clever people than I talking about it. So the next stage is then to hand those well thought out cucumbers and tests to the developers who code it. So the developers now are in a position where they've got a really understandable user story that's coming from behavior. They know that everyone's signed up to this, that there's been tests written and acceptance criteria written and examples given, and they can now code in a very frugal way, minimal, lean code, in order to get the code to pass the tests. So rather than develop to a feature, they're doing test-driven development or behavioural driven development, literally developing to pass that test or that behaviour. So once they've managed to get all those tests to turn from red, broken tests, just to green, passing the tests, they know their job's done. And they can just tell straight away, because all the test suites are running. The testers can just see that their test suites are running, so that's an easy sign-off. The business can see that their tests are working and the reports are working, and they understand the business language of it because it's all easily understandable. It's not some sort of coding gobbledygook. Given, when, thens are very understandable to the business language. And then the users get the product that they want. It's taken directly from their behavior and their wishes and delivered to them. And hopefully this whole timeline from outside to the inside and then the inside back out happens very quickly. So at the BBC we've seen this occur in like 2 or 3 week sprint cycles, and this would occur in hours, if that. As soon as someone was checked in and it was done and it was all passing the tests, it would be accepted all the way through to the business and it can be released. So why is this a better system? Well, it's not without its complications or anything, but what it does fix is issues that I've seen on other projects, such as maybe when the business hands things straight to the development team without going through testers first, and then when it comes back out, it has to go through all these test layers. So you're testing after you've coded it, and the test team then come up with their usual deep thinking and go, actually no, you haven't thought about this scenario and that scenario. And, well, what if the security is compromised on this banking product, or you haven't thought about if this person's account is linked to another person's account. So actually you've got to then take all of that code, throw it back to the business owner that it's failed all the tests, and they've got to start from scratch sometimes. So that's a really typical pain point, and that can happen over a period of months of work. Get to the test team and then they realise it's a botched job. So that's very costly. So that's one example I can think of. Can you think of any others where you're sort of jumping around without using these layers or going through this? If you can, just write comments, subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side. Cheers guys.